Hi, guys. Well, welcome to the first, I guess, mindful living podcast through Present State Wellness, a company that was founded by myself, Mike Fecht, and my business partner here, Jonathan Creamer. And, we decided that we wanted to try to create an opportunity where we could extend the message that we have on the website and on the learning platform, with the community at large. So, and in today's society, what better way to do that than by the use of video? So we're gonna step outside, our comfort zones a little bit and try to share, the message of mindfulness and help, people live more mindful lives through, our podcast here. So getting into this first podcast, we thought we would introduce ourselves a little bit first. And, Jonathan and I worked together once. We were business partners years before with a company called Yoga for Men. I found my yoga practice by way of my wife at the time, encouraging me to go to help heal an ailing back. When I did that 3 years of practice, I went online, I went on Facebook, I found this group called Yoga for Men, which I thought was really cool because it kind of dismissed all the stigmas and stereotypes that people have about men practicing yoga. And I thought that the messaging was just so on point that I reached out to Jonathan, who was running the site and who had founded the site. And, we hit it off and established a relationship that's now probably 10,
10
12
plus
years
years.
old, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to give you, John, why don't you take just a minute, just kind of describe, what led you into that, since that was what really brought you and I together and really spawned everything that we're even doing today.
Sure. So I'll try to be brief. I've been practicing yoga pretty much my entire life, I guess I would say. My mom was a teacher and years before I was born. So I know that if she could have had me on a yoga mat, given birth to me on a yoga mat, she probably would have. So I grew up in her classes, a very young age, practicing yoga, taking my examples from her. Fast forward to about 10 years ago, she was passing away from Alzheimer's. So I kind of figured, and I had let my practice go at that point. I was off doing other things, traveling and whatnot. So I decided that her light was fading, so it was time for somebody to take up the mantle for her. And I got into practice to not only begin teaching and, for lack of a better way to put it, replace her light in the world, but also to cope with some grief and stress and things of watching my mom die and some other things that had happened earlier in my life that I'm sure at some point in these podcasts we'll get into, Mike, because we both do have stories to tell.
Yeah.
So and yoga is a massive part of why Mike and I are such good friends today. But I drove down to South Florida. I live in Florida. He did at the time. Mike was down there coaching pro athletes, and we hit each other up and say, "Hey, I'm hours away. I'll come down and meet you. We'll just kind of see what happens." And we were immediately friends. I mean, probably within the first 30 seconds, I
Yeah.
was like, I like this guy. We're speaking the same language.
Yeah.
And so fast forward to today, Mike and I together started Yoga for Men. I started it, but Mike was, hugely, hugely influential in all that. COVID comes along, the world changes, and lo and behold, Mike and I find ourselves back in the saddle again, so to speak, starting this company, Present State Wellness, where we intend to talk about yoga practice, not only how it's helped us, how it has helped us relieve some grief and stress that we've both had in our lives, but also to help others, beginners, come into the practice and find their way forward. So that's pretty robust mission at this point,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I think that is a nice segue into talking about, our mission in approaching, fitness from a holistic perspective,
True.
right?
True.
We talk a lot about the mental and emotional component of yoga and how it's helped us there. But for most people, they find yoga by way of the physical, and
Right.
then it tends to kind of like open up. Their practice deepens. They start to experience, some different things along the way. And, so I thought for today we could discuss that a little bit about what that means to take a
Sure.
holistic approach to fitness.
Yes.
We recently created a partnership with NLX, a gym management company and ownership group that is taking that approach to fitness through their gyms. And we've partnered up with them to be kind of the at-home component through our website
Right.
in teaching
Right.
yoga and meditation and mindfulness. So we're doing that out in the real world, and helping people, establish that. But through this podcast, we hope to also give people tips at home for how they can find this path as well. So Jonathan, you enjoy outside of yoga. You've become a runner over the last few years, and I remember you telling me that, if I ever caught you running, it meant you were running from something, I think,
Right.
before.
Right.
And, over the years now, you've become a competitive runner. I mean, you're running road races, that sort of thing.
It's being very polite. It's being very polite. Yes.
Uh, yeah, well, but I was an athlete in college, got into bodybuilding. I've done a triathlon, that sort of thing. So we're very physical, and we appreciate that aspect of it. But the we live in a country where we've got, the overwhelming majority of people are at least overweight, and then we've got an obesity epidemic. So it seems like, there's the fitness industry has been around now for 50 years. You and I have seen it evolve from, Arnold Schwarzenegger to the Bally's clubs in the 80s and the Share videos and,
Jane
all of
Fonda.
that,
Jane
all of
Fonda.
it,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Through the yoga boom. But yeah, here we are, right? Like there's something that's missing. And I think, what we've identified, and the reason why we're partnering with NLX, is that the mental, emotional, and the physical are all connected.
Right. So to clarify a little bit on the partnership with NLX, so Mike and I have started, Mike's the founder. We've started a new company called presentstatewellness.com. So on our website, we have courses. They're all yoga centric for sure. They're mindfulness meditation courses, journaling courses, the physical practice. So there's a lot on there. And we've really only just be scratched the surface and just begun as to where this is going to go. So we spent the last few months really tailoring that and writing courses. And I built the website. Mike's writing the courses, and he mentioned partnering with NLX. They actually, Mike can definitely speak on this better than I can, but they have two clubs. So they're opening one in Vegas and one in Seattle. And like Mike said, they're bringing our coursework into a large part of their component of their approach to physical fitness, which is great because that's where Mike and I already are. So they're skating where the puck is going, and where the puck is at. And we've been that way for a long time. So we're excited to bring the mindfulness and the emotional understanding of the physicality of exercising and what it can bring to your life. We're very happy to be that component for them. And that should
Right.
be launching pretty soon. So,
Yeah, they're operational now in both cities. I mean, Vegas, they've been
right.
going for a while. In Seattle, they just acquired, and they're getting the ball rolling up there in terms of training everybody on how to deliver, this different approach. Because typically, having been I've been in the fitness industry now for 30 plus years. I was on the management side, a national supervisor with one of the largest gym chains in the country. It's all been the focus on the physical. And, if you're making those changes, then it almost impacts the emotional. But, too often people have started something and they don't see it all the way through. And I think that's most of us at this point. Most people have attempted something toward a fitness program, whether it's just going out and walking and trying to do that regularly, or, jumping into the gym membership and trying to do that. And most of us have failed and fallen off at some
Yeah.
point.
We all have our stories.
Right. So, but I think what we've identified is that it's in bridging. You have to train the mental and emotional piece, and that you can
Yeah.
train
Yeah.
it just like a muscle. And the more time that you give to that piece, the more that you can bank on, you're going to make better decisions for yourself in the moment, typically at those times that we fall off of the tracks.
Right. Right.
right? So it's that awareness that, and I'll just do it. I'll just speak to meditation, just the idea of being able to calm the mind and how that can impact, your fitness program.
Sure, go for it.
It's just, in those moments, we have those moments. It's just like, I was asked one time, how does meditation help me quit smoking? Well, much in the same way that it can help you stay on a fitness program, is that in those moments, those urges, those like addictive thoughts, or those that we just react to things, that are kind of
Reactive
built
thought.
in the reactive thought.
Habit patterns.
Habit patterns. When those things kick in, we become aware of the thought pattern. Instead of just going with the urge, there are those moments of clarity where we can decide, well, maybe I'm not going to have that cigarette right now this second. And then the next time we have that urge, it comes up, and maybe we do, maybe we don't. But this idea of starting to become more mindful, it just gains momentum. And the more that you practice it, the easier it becomes to just make the right decision for yourself in those moments.
Or at least the most beneficial decision in that, given what's going on in that moment. But I just kind of want to stop you there, Mike, before we get too deep in the weeds, because believe me, if there's anybody that can get too deep in the weeds when it comes to yoga, it's me and this guy for sure. We can go on all day long.
Yeah.
But we did want to just kind of jump in and give the groups and yoga enthusiasts out there kind of an introduction to who's actually running this, and then that we're here, and that we do care, and we want to help guide people's practices. And then there's plenty more of the physical part to come. Mike and I are well versed on all of that as well. But we just wanted to kind of touch base with everyone in the group and just say, we're here for you. This is what we're doing. We're not going away, and we want to help.
Yeah. And, I would just say this, and if you want to help us further the mission, you can go over to the website at presentstatewellness.com. And there's a little portion at the bottom of the homepage where you can just put your email in and register for the newsletter. So we would love to have you active on the site. We're building a community there. And I can't wait to share all of the content that we've also put together for everybody to help you along the way. So
thanks again, guys. Yep. Thanks again, guys. We'll check in soon. We're going to do more of these podcasts. Mike and I really love this format, and we'll be back with you soon. Thanks.
Take care.